If you want more of your ideal prospects coming to you and turning into paying clients, then content marketing is the way to go. In this video, let's talk about marketing your business using social media. Now, there are a lot of ways to get clients coming to you using marketing. You have paid ads, you have referrals, you have content, and that's really what I want to be talking to you about today, because when I look at all of the clients that we've served, and we've now worked with over 600 clients inside of our programs here at Alt Agency, what I found is the best clients, the ones that stay the longest, all came from consuming our content on these social media platforms. And according to a study by the Content Marketing Institute, 76% of marketers say that content marketing is actually generating them leads. Another study by First Site Guide said that 47% of customers read 3 to 5 pieces of content before they even engage with a brand. And when all is said and done, content marketing costs 62% less than other marketing methods, but actually generates 3 times the leads. And that actually came from a study by Neil Schaefer. Now, you probably already believe and understand that people spend money with brands that they already have relationships with, and the content actually helps them develop that relationship and that know, like, and trust factor. But the biggest question that I see a lot of agencies and freelancers asking themselves when it comes to using social media to promote their business is, what should I be talking about? So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact content strategy that we use to think about what should we say in our content and what types of content actually will attract your most ideal clients. Now, if you're new here, my name is Greg Hickman, and I've spent over a decade in the agency world, from big agencies that represented brands like Pepsi and Unilever to small boutique firms, even finishing client side. Now, since then, going out on my own in 2014, I've consulted over 600 agencies and freelancers through a company that I built called Alt Agency, where we really help you to productize your services and monetize your expertise. So if you dig this content, I'd love a comment and or a subscription to the channel. We release new content every single week. Now, when it comes to social media, we need to understand the actual job of the content that we are creating and publishing and sharing on the social media platforms of choice. Now, here's where I think a lot of people go wrong. I think they just create content for content's sake, but the primary goals of your content are actually threefold. First, it's to generate leads. Second, it's to nurture leads. And 3, it's to convert leads. I know that all sounds, for some of you, maybe a little bit transactional. That doesn't mean your content needs to be transactional, but your content does need to hit on a couple key areas that will actually make people want to subscribe to the things you're saying, to give you their name, email, and phone number, and actually come across the line, eventually hopping onto a sales conversation and becoming a paying client. Content that doesn't align with one of these objectives ultimately becomes ineffective. And that's where I see a lot of people get burnt out on the hamster wheel of content, because it feels like they're creating content for content's sake. Now, because every piece of content should be aimed at one of these 3 objectives, the content actually needs to be a strategic representation and kind of pointer towards what your core offer actually is. What does your offer suite look like? The content needs to play around the problems that you actually solve for your client and bring all of that level of awareness and clarity and trust to the people that you would ultimately like to have as paying clients. Each piece of content that I put out and that our clients put out really falls into one of 4 buckets. And inside of each of those buckets, there's a couple different strategies and angles that you can take to make sure that your content is achieving the objectives that we talked about already. Now, we created a tool that we call the Content Compass, and this is how we actually start to take ideas that we've captured along the way and run them through a filter to make sure that the way in which we approach these topics and bring these conversations to light using social media, that they're always falling inside of one of these 4 buckets that will ultimately lead to lead gen, lead conversion, and lead nurture. So the first bucket we call build connection. So obviously you don't buy from people until you know, like, and trust them. And as we saw, the studies show that, minimum consumption of 3 to 4 pieces of content before they actually start to engage. And there's a lot of studies show that people need to consume 7 hours of your content before really making a purchasing decision. Now, on this point of building connection, before I shared 3 different ways to build connection, this all really came to light for me this past July when we had a lot of our clients in town for one of our retreats. And we went around the room. There was about 25 of our clients in the room at the time. And I had asked, like, where they came from. And out of the 25 24 of them all came through organic content that I put out on YouTube, which is where you're watching. And they saw one video based on something they were searching for. And then they went down the rabbit hole of watching a lot of my content. Then they started seeing some of my retargeting ads, which actually led them to getting inside my funnel and my email list and eventually booking a call. And so of the 25 clients, 24 of them had binge watched a lot of my content, like beyond 7 hours of content. And when they came onto these calls, they were already pre-sold on what we actually did, and they were ready to get going. Now, to me, they hop on. It's the first time I'm ever really getting to engage with them, but they felt like they knew me. Many times they're surprised that they were even talking to me, and they became paying clients. Now, that one client was the one that came through a more direct response oriented paid advertisement and didn't go through 7 hours of consumption, but their pain was, high enough that they resonated with the message that I was sharing inside of that advertisement and that training, and they became a client. But that was a big aha moment for me, is that how can I now make sure that all of my prospects, my audience, are consuming enough of the content to really make the ease of sale easy, right? Like simplify the process. Like they're coming in and it's really about logistics and is this a right fit? That's what the sales conversation should really be about. So again, if you want to do that, we need to make sure our content is that first bucket, building connection. So here are a couple ways that we look at building connection. So the first way is to simply just show your life. And that doesn't mean you need to show your kids, although you can. Everyone has their own line there. But I think letting them know who you are as a person, your values, your interests is really important. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that mountain biking is a huge part of my life. Being outdoors is a big part of my life, and so is my family. And so I talk a lot about being a dad in my content, or lessons that I realized just from mountain biking and how that translates to business. And when I film a video on Instagram while I'm out on the trail, I get people that are like, I don't understand how you're out there on a Wednesday afternoon while still running this business. And they get inspired by the fact that I'm building a business of my dreams, and they want that too. So for you and your business, the people who are going to ultimately buy from you are going to likely going to share similar values and goals. And so if you're not sharing parts of your life and how that connects to the benefits of working with you, I think you're missing the mark. At the end of the day, people buy from people. And if you're a B2B service provider, like an agency, freelancer, or consultant, like most of you are watching this channel, this is a huge opportunity for you to show up as a human being and get people to know, like, and trust you. Now, the second way that we actually build connection is to show our work. You guys work with your clients a lot, showing behind the scenes of how you do certain things. This could be cool clips of, you actually engaging with clients. Maybe you do client calls. I've taken so many snippets of our coaching calls and shared them here on this channel. And some of them are our best performing content from a lead conversion perspective, because they actually start to see what it looks like to work with us. So are you bringing your audience behind the scenes in your content, showing how you work, right? There's one of my favorite books by Austin Kleon is Show Your Work. And if you're using a calculator, or you are, an artist and you're designing, where are the graphics, the videos of that work being done? All of that, again, starts to build a connection, and people start to envision themselves inside of your process working with you. Now, the third way that we actually build connection is to show your backstory. So your backstory, for many of you, actually has a lot to do with why you're doing what you're doing today. I spent a decade in the agency world, one person inside of a 200-person company representing huge brands. Like I said, Pepsi, Unilever. I worked with the New York Jets. I then went client side and was responsible for building an internal team, and we hired a bunch of agencies and freelancers and consultants. And so the perspective that I have on what the agency world looks like and how you can design an agency for yourself comes from being inside large organizations, some of the largest agencies in the world that are a part of Omnicom, as well as the small startup before starting my own business. And so the more that I share some of these experiences, like I'm doing right now, I actually find that a lot of our clients, they come from the agency world too. They understand what the traditional agency model looks like. And so when I get to talk about things like why I think the traditional model is broken and freelancers should avoid it at all costs, and you don't have to scale just through hiring people, when they start to see my background, they understand where I'm coming from, and it creates a level of trust trust and authority because I've been there. I've been doing this for over 10 plus years, and this is not my first rodeo. And so you have expertise, you have experience, you have a background that has led you to doing the things you are doing right now. And if you're not weaving that story and narrative into your content frequently, you're missing an opportunity to build that connection. So that's how we build connection. Now, the second bucket is to demonstrate your expertise. There's three different ways that we go about demonstrating our expertise. The first is to actually solve a problem. I have a lot of sales conversations, so does my team, and we hear a lot of problems that prospects have. On the flip side, we actually do train and coach 600 plus agency owners over the last handful of years. And so we're solving problems for them. And so the ability for me to take a problem that I just solved for a client and come here on YouTube and share a high level overview of the solution, of the things that we're actually implementing with different clients, I get to demonstrate that I know what I'm talking about for people like you. I get to write posts on LinkedIn. By the way, if you're not following me on LinkedIn, check it out. I share a lot of these lessons from the behind the scenes of what we're doing and solving our actual clients' problems. And if you solve problems in public, problems that you've already solved, making the content part should be easy, you're going to get to show other people that you know how to solve their problems. So the first way to demonstrate expertise is to actually just solve their problem. It's kind of that age-old secret of show someone that you can help them by actually helping them. Now, the second way to demonstrate expertise is to share a process. Something that we do with a lot of our clients is unpack their core service into a step-by-step roadmap. And usually it's a 9-step visual framework that fits on one page that we can move our clients through as we have sales conversations. We can literally show them, hey, this is how we're going to work together. Step 1, we do this. Step 2, we do this. Step 3, we do this. And they start to see themselves inside of your work. Also, showing that you have a process, a methodology, an approach further emphasizes that you actually are an expert in what you're talking about. Hands down, one of the simplest things that we help our clients do is to unpack that into one-page visual roadmap. And our clients use that in sales conversations, and they say things like, oh my God, my sales process has never felt simpler. People get what we do now. So show your process. That could be visualizing it on a one page. It could be talking through different elements of your process, so on and so forth. Now, the third way that you're going to go about demonstrating expertise is to just share your knowledge. You probably have a lot of insights that are extremely valuable that you have from being in the game for over maybe a decade or however many years you've been in the game. You have more intimate knowledge around your domain of expertise than likely your prospects. So are you sharing the insights and your opinions? I have another video on the channel where I talk about developing your unique point of view. You should have a unique point of view, possibly contrarian takes that you differ on as it relates to what the rest of the market and your competitors might be saying. So in order to demonstrate our expertise, you can solve a problem, you can actually share a process, and you can just share your knowledge, industry insights, learnings, things that come up while you're actually doing the work. Now, the third bucket that helps us build trust inside of the content compass is providing proof. Now, there's three different ways that you can provide proof. First is you can just share a client result. You see a lot of folks snapshotting testimonials or little video clips, things like that, but you could tell a story about a client that got a result. You can, again, show a visual of them getting a result. You can have them record a video. You can take a screenshot of an email they sent you. Obviously, get permission to share all of these things if you don't have it, but you can provide proof by literally just showing that a specific client got a result. The second way is to actually share a case study. This would probably be the more formal thing that you're used to, where you say, hey, here's my client. This is where they were when they got started. Here's the things that we worked on together. Here's the results and the things that we actually were able to help them achieve from a financial perspective. If you impact their revenue and bottom line, or if it's time savings, whatever the outcome is and the transformation is that you help with your clients, the case study is the more formal representation of that. That can come in the form of a short video. It could be a YouTube video. It could be an interview where you bring your client on. I have videos of us, interviewing clients on a playlist that is on our channel. So you can go check that out if you want, where we just have candid conversations with clients where they share their story and their result. Now, the third way to provide proof is just to share a testimonial. So again, a client result is you can tell the story about a client that got a result, but a testimonial is where the client actually grabbed their phone, recorded 30 seconds thanking you or saying what you helped them achieve, or published a a review on a third-party website where it's them in the flesh. So to differentiate, sharing the client result could be you telling the story about a client. The testimonial is the client actually sharing that testimony with you. So again, a video, they might have posted something or sent you an email, but it's coming out of their mouth instead of yours. If you're enjoying this content and you're not yet subscribed to this channel, because the largest percentage of people that watch these videos are actually not yet subscribed. So if you're enjoying this and finding value, I would love for you to go ahead and click the subscribe button and the notification bell, because we have a video every single week. Now, the fourth bucket of the content compass is to invite action. I see so many people create content and never give their prospects or audience a call to action. And so they don't get likes, they don't get subscription on their YouTube channel, they don't get people commenting, and they definitely don't get people scheduling calls or giving them their name, email, and phone number because they never ask. So that fourth bucket of the content compass is really to invite action. So the three ways that I recommend that you invite action, first is to capture an opt-in. For example, if you guys wanted to see our step-by-step process on how we actually work with clients, inside the description, I put together a free training. You can go check that out. You click the link in the description, you'll give us your name, email, and your phone number, and we're gonna send you a free training that walks you literally through our process. That was an example of inviting you to action via the way of an opt-in. So maybe you have a PDF, maybe you have a white paper, maybe you have a free training, maybe you have a free course that you've created that you can get your audience, your leads, your prospects to listen to and partake in, but you gotta get them to give you the name, email, phone number, their contact info in order to get it. That's an opt-in. Now, the second way that you can invite action is to invite them to start a conversation. One of my favorite pieces of content that we teach is to basically offer up an asset that they might find valuable. I obviously just shared an opt-in to a training, but I have other videos, or if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see me share templates and say, hey, if you want this template, just comment or DM me the word template and I'll send it over to you. You've probably seen posts like this all over the internet on social media. Well, these are really great ways to start an actual dialogue, because what I've found to be true when it comes to turning leads into prospects into clients is that conversions happen in conversations. So one of the best things that can come out of your content is starting a conversation. So in sales, they have the saying, always be closing. In content, we have the saying, always be opening. Always be opening conversations. So by having an asset that you can share, or hey, I just put together a free training. If you want it, comment the word training below this post and I'll send you the training, is an example of how you can start a conversation. This works really great if you use written platforms like LinkedIn and or Twitter or Facebook. And even if you do short form media, like on Instagram Reels and stuff like that. I love doing content on Instagram where I'm having people comment back a keyword to start a conversation. Not only does it generate a hand raise by someone who's likely interested in your services, you're going to actually start talking to that person, add them to the pipeline, and you can start nurturing them depending upon where they're at in the process. Now, the third and final way to invite action is just to invite them to book a call. We have our clients go through a training that's called the consultation engine, where they actually build out an application funnel where they record a video, they invite people to schedule a conversation, and they fill out a questionnaire, and they hop on a sales conversation. But fundamentally, conversions happen in conversations. So if you have a core video that explains why someone, your ideal prospect, should be talking to you and what you're going to help them with on that free call, you can invite them to book a call at any point inside of the description below. If you're an agency owner doing somewhere between 15 and 30K a month in revenue, we likely can help you productize your service and start monetizing your expertise. So if that's you can also just schedule a call with my team and follow this exact same process below this video. That's a call to action to book a call. You can have content that specifically gets people to book a call or start a conversation or to opt in, and you're going to weave those all throughout your content. Now, all of this begs the question, how often should I be inviting people to action inside of my content? And that is a great question. I see a lot of people in every piece of content invite some sort of action. The people that can get away with a soft call to action in every single piece of content are those that produce a lot of content. I always like to think about content creation and that kind of give to ask ratio like a bank account. If you go to the bank and all you do is make withdrawals, taking money out, at some point the account is going to be empty and it'll be overdrawn. You can't actually take anything out because there's nothing left inside. You have to be continually making deposits into the bank account so that you have something to withdraw. That's why we always talk about create a lot of content where you're adding value, not necessarily making a call to action, the demonstrating expertise, the building the connection, the providing proof. All of those things are ways in which we can create content that don't specifically have an invite to action. When I think of like a percentage, I do think the general like 80-20 rule works here. 80% of the time we're adding value, 20% of the time we are inviting people to action. If you actually look at most social media feeds, Facebook, Instagram, you typically see a 4-to-1 ratio. You'll see 4 pieces of content from people that you follow, and then you'll likely see 1 sponsored ad, aka a paid advertisement. So you kind of think if all of these social platforms, Instagram, YouTube, etc., are putting every call to action of paid every 4 posts, there's that kind of 4-to-1 ratio of give to ask. So I think that's a really healthy place to come in at. Now, here's one more really interesting thing about that, because as we've worked with 600 clients on how to create content that converts, the key thing here is that the more you get to create, the more you get to ask. And one of the biggest obstacles that I see agency owners and freelancers struggle with early on with content is not producing enough content. Now, we all need to build up to a higher frequency, but if you only share 1 post on LinkedIn per week, and we go by that 4-to-1 ratio, you're gonna go basically 1 month of all content and 1 month of invite. You have to create a whole month worth of content before you even get to ask for an invitation. And so depending upon what your financial goals are and how many clients you need to hit those revenue targets, you might not generate enough conversations or interest with asking only once every other month. So if you're giving daily, you get to be asking once a week. And so you went from maybe 1 invitation to talk every other month to at least 1 or 2 every single month because you're giving so much. This is, I think, one of the main reasons why adding value and getting to that daily content flow on most of these social media platforms has become so important from a lead generation perspective. So as you're getting ready, and again, it's okay if you're not there yet, you have to build up to it, but the more you give, the more you're going to end up asking. And so we've all heard before, if you want to get more clients, you have to make more offers. Well, if you want to be able to make more offers without constantly making withdrawals and having being overdrawn in that account, you have to be making deposits very consistently as well. So that's the content compass, my friend. That's how we approach creating content and making sure that every time we go to create a content, we ask inside the content compass, are we building connection with this content? Are we demonstrating expertise? Are we providing proof, or are we inviting action? And the great part is sometimes you can weave those together and make your content even more powerful. So hopefully this helps you, and the content compass serves you well when it comes to you creating content that's going to drive more conversations, more leads, and more of your ideal clients, having them come to you versus chasing them moving forward. Now, if you want to design or redesign your agency and freelance business to be wildly profitable, systemized and productized with a lean team, and you wake up all the time super excited to do the work that you love, then check out the description below. I put a link to a free training walking you through how we can help you, and I'll see you there.